Hey guys, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video requested by AnthraxCrab3238. It's called Geist Ex Machina, a Chaos Knight story Warhammer 40K made on a Vox in the Void YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out my previous reactions to other a Vox in the Void YouTube channel Warhammer 40K content, remember the playlist card is going to be at the top here. Just click on it and be able to access them. If you want to check out the original video as well as a Vox in the Void's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Yes. Oh, and if you want to check out other Warhammer 40K content that I've reacted to, remember the playlist card is also going to be at the top. Yeah, okay. Let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
War. War on every front. War at every scale.
Let the galaxy burn.
The red sands of Endymion Prime ran with blood and liquid fire. Screaming drop pods churned dust into a perpetual ashen storm, bolters for thunder, streaks of orbital fire for lightning. Brutality and death. Carcharodon Astartes emerged from the drop pods, cleaving through the chattel hordes. Each squad was a swimming thrust of dark grey armor through tearing bodies. A massacre. The Carcharodon seemed unstoppable, pushing forwards through bullets and flesh.
Hold. Allow them to overextend.
Eudipides snarled at the command, writhing in his throne mechanicum. He could feel Cerberus's impatience mingle with his own, the Knight Abominant straining at the leash.
Cerberus. Is that the name of the Imperial Knight? Or as they call it here, the Chaos Knight? Okay. Alright, so it's during... Is it during the Horus Heresy or is it after that? I'm just wondering. Okay.
His tail swished from side to side. His electro-scourge flexed and sparked. He itched to let loose his Volkite combustor, to drive his tusks into the hard flesh of loyalist armor.
Hold.
Is that you, Varys? No. I recognize that voice. Aegis, back once more. Malventus, or perhaps the Nameless One.
Get a hold of yourself, Dreadblade. I'm alive, not one of your ghosts.
The Red Corsair sounded impatient. Eudipides tried to remember the pirate's name, but the ghosts in the machine scratched and bickered in his ear.
How many years has it been?
Eudipides, you must stop. Honor...
Honor? He has no honor.
Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!
Eudipides!
Eudipides!
Eudipides screamed a gurgling scream. He felt the aluminum of his bionics fizz and spark against the spittle of his ravaged throat.
Shut up! Shut up!
Okay. Alright, so there's multiple personalities inside the Knight, and he's also contending with Cerberus itself. Wow. I'd also go mad. I would go mad, really. Having to fight on the battlefield, having to deal with all of these past pilots of the machine, and you're also dealing with the machine itself, Cerberus. Crazy.
Hold, Dreadblade.
The Carcharodons were near their position. Each squad spiraled inward, leaving behind trails of blood and gore. Hundreds of chattels died in every moment, howling as their flesh was ripped asunder and sprayed with arterial blood. Eudipides could feel Cerberus's hunger. The machine spirit clawed at his mind, ached at his atrophied legs. He felt the craving desire to stretch and flex, to unleash the spring-wound tension of his flesh through beams of Volkite fire.
Let it burn. Let it burn.
Stop, Eudipides. You do not want this.
What do you know of what he wants?
I said, shut up!
Hold.
Okay, so the personalities don't want him to fight in this war. Okay, and he's here fighting it. So, oh, they were not part of Chaos, were they? The previous pilots. They were not part of this rebellion against the Imperium of Man. And maybe that's why they're saying stop. Or he does not have any honor. Okay. Wow.
Eudippides could feel the eyes of the chattels upon him. 10,000 slaves wondering why he did not engage. Or maybe that was one of Cerberus's tricks. The machine often lied to get what they both wanted. His eyes rolled back white, his mind dizzying as he used 360-degree picked view across the battlefield. The Red Corsairs were a little further back. They were hidden behind the immense sand dunes and the thick red ash smog. But Cerberus's hunting optics picked them out easily enough. The knight's ion shields rippled and spat bleeding aluminum as stray rounds whipped past. The Carcharodons had not yet committed heavy weaponry to the engagement.
It is only a matter of time.
Fear the skies. The space sharks kill from the skies. Orbital bombardment.
They are too committed. It will be time soon.
Heed me, Eudippides. Orbital bombardment.
Nonsense. They would not risk their own.
Let them burn!
Aerial bombardment, then. I tell you, Eudippides, I was there. I have seen this before.
And which side were you on?
Let me out, please.
There's too many people. There's too many people. Oh gosh.
Auditory data was a mess of howling blasphemies, small arms fire, and the rip of Carcharodon chain axes. Eudippides instinctively processed and optimized the data, but he could hear nothing from the loyalist Astartes themselves.
They're silent. They're always silent.
Shut up.
They are not silent, fool. Their tongues are in their chains. Can you not hear them screaming?
Engage! Repeat! All Corsairs engage! Raise the Vox tirades! Attack! Kill them all!
What if that's Cerberus talking to you? What if that's not your commanding officer? What is his name again? Eudippides. Yeah, what if it's not your commanding officer? What if it's Cerberus who's fooling you? Hey.
Burn! Burn!
Burn! Cerberus launched forwards, screeching savage joy as electro muscles burned with crackling aluminum. Eudippides brought up the Volkite combustor, roaring as a torrent of thermal death swept across the war zone. Chattels died instantly as the beam incinerated their bones and the heat popped their eyes. The ray swept across towards a squad of Carcharodons, killing 3 before the rest broke cohesion and spread out. Eudippides eased the tension in his shoulder with a spray of his Diabolus heavy stubber, hissing with delight as a loyalist marine staggered and died beneath a hail of bullets. Cerberus flexed its tail, throwing a dozen chattels into the air, electro-scourge writhing with dark power. Eudippides growled for discipline, but his heart wasn't in it. He unleashed another Volkite beam and cackled as the air shimmered around the flame.
Burn!
It is glorious. Eudippides, let me. Just this once.
Shut up, Malventus!
It is glorious.
The ghosts clamoured at him, reaching for his mind with rising insistence. Eudippides gasped, Cerberus slumping forward as he battled for control. A hunting pack of Corsair bikes zipped past, whooping insults that were lost beneath the booming percussion of their twin-linked bolters. A huge explosion ripped out a hole in the chattel horde, one loyalist helmet among the charred, burning parts. Verus! Verus! What say you?
Varys? Why talk to that old fool, Eudippides?
Cerberus lurched forwards, striking out with the electro-scourge and casting a swathe of broken bodies before it. The knight picked up speed, charging to meet the Carcharodons head-on.
I remember it all.
Stop. Eudippides, you can stop.
Come now, just this once. I'll never ask again.
No!
Is that Malventus who's talking? Okay.
For the God Emperor's sake.
Death to the false emperor.
Eutypodes blinked back into focus. Cerberus rushed towards the enemy, but the beast had forgotten its guns, snarling. Eutypodes brought up the Volkite combustor and made them a path of fire. He flexed to reload the heavy stubber on his shoulder, kicking out with a clawed boot at the first Astartes he met. The shark flew, punctured by Eutypodes' talons. Another died as Cerberus' electro-scourge wrapped around their head and wrenched it free. Around them, corsairs met with sharks, red against grey, staining each other with their colors. While the corsairs laughed and taunted, the sharks were silent, even as they fell to spitting chainswords and the explosions of bolt pistols. The chattels milled, their numbers devastated, each individual cultist frothing or fighting or fleeing. It did not matter. They were just set dressing. Just terrain.
But this does not sound good for the chaos side of things. You know, yes, they might just be seen as dressing as part of the landscape, but, you know, if you lose the war on the floor there, then what makes you think you're going to survive the war in your Chaos Knight? You know, you need you need to win the ground battle as well, not just the Titan or the Knight battle. You know, your level of battle. What's his name again? Eutypodes. Yeah.
The skies, Eutypodes. Here they come.
The ghost was right. Thunderhawk gunships broke the clouds, their wing fins scattering the dust. Cerberus growled as it identified threats, marking turbo laser destructors and melter warheads. In acknowledgement, Eutypodes angled up his Volkite combustor, sending a thermal beam towards the closest gunship. It banked sharply, but Eutypodes caught the tip of its left thruster, setting it alight and sending the ship into a plummeting tailspin. Cerberus howled as las cannons broke their ion shields, stings of pain across Eutypodes' torso.
Shut up, Cerberus! You howl at pinpricks!
He fired another thermal beam, a great flare of destruction that scattered a school of Thunderhawks in every direction. Red Corsair Marines took cover among the mounds of dead. The first wave of Carcharodons had been dispatched. Eutypodes wasn't sure of the strategy, but things seemed to be going well. From the cover of the sand dune, las cannon fire danced towards the sky, a pyrotechnic display of burning light. One ship was pierced by 6 beams, exploding into a ball of spectacular light as the engines detonated. In response, a flaring salvo of Hellstrike missiles transformed the dune into shattered glass, obliterating the havocs in a series of brilliant detonations.
War at every front. War everywhere.
Sharks commit too many, Eutypodes. This battle cannot be won.
We have killed so many.
Eutypodes!
He's right, Eutypodes. Their counterattack may destroy us.
We are betrayed.
With a strangled scream, Eutypodes drove the ghosts back into the subconscious of the machine. He fired again, missing entirely as the Thunderhawk nose-dived beneath the Volkite beam and half landed, half crashed into the sands of Endymion Prime. Carcharodons charged from its forward ramp, forming 3 squads that pushed forwards like the thrusted prongs of a trident. Eutypodes frowned. This cannot be betrayal. The Red Corsairs are committed too!
Unless...
The ghost's whispers were cut off by a barrage of mind-linked pain. Cerberus shrieked as his side was pierced by the force of a turbo laser destructor, left hip buckling as he fell to one knee. Screaming klaxons sounded in Eutypodes' head, hypno readouts of damage searing his mind. The Thunderhawk gunship was a blur of metal as it soared overhead. Cerberus spat luminum, ignoring Eutypodes' commands.
Isn't there a way to cut out the sensory data that the pilot is experiencing when the Knight is being attacked? You know, like if the Knight's legs have been shot with some sort of missile or projectile weapons, and, you know, the Knight is in pain, but, you know, isn't there a way for the pilot not to feel that pain as well? Because it would be distracting. You're trying to fight, but the Knight is being pummeled at every side, and you actually feel that pain. You feel them hitting you on your back, you feel them hitting you on your legs. Isn't there a way to cut that feeling off so that you can focus on trying to defeat as many of the enemy opponents as possible before you die. I'm just wondering about that. Yeah, but it doesn't look good for Cerberus and for you deputies.
The gunship began turning for another attack run.
Let me help you. I can hold its chain.
Is this the end?
You deputies, let me help you.
May the God Emperor forgive us.
Eudipides spasmed in silent war with Cerberus and the ghosts of the machine.
Death to the false god. Burn. I find it interesting that the other personalities can also help, the pilot in controlling the knight. I thought it was just the knight and the pilot who are in control here, not the other personalities that are inside this knight. So yeah, that's interesting.
He gargled blood that dribbled from his mouth. His nerve fibers were aflame, even as he shut down Cerberus's whines and disconnected the machine's pain from his own. In his peripheral, he saw that the Thunderhawk had completed its turn. He bellowed mind commands, but Cerberus wasn't listening. A whimpering beast, tail tucked under its legs.
Bring full power to ion shields. We don't need maneuverability.
Power levels are draining. We should prioritize automatic repairs.
There'll be nothing left to repair if the shields aren't charged.
You're both wrong! We attack! Help me with Cerberus or we die! Eudipides felt his power return as the others came to his aid. He could hear Malventa soothing Cerberus with honeyed words, Aegis seconding his own mind commands with an iron will. Cerberus groaned as it lifted its Volkite combustor towards the heavens.
Good dog. Good dog.
Wait. Don't fire without a clear shot.
Eudipides grimaced as the Thunderhawk bore down on them. It felt as if minutes passed. The Neurolink had a way of squeezing or elasticating time, his perspective overlaid with the dust of dead past, the future crumbling beneath the weight of an advancing, all-powerful present. For a moment, he heard his own ghost, a much younger man, haughty and proud, so sure of himself, but unburdened by this ever-present, compressing, furious rage. "What have we become?" the boy asked. "We have become death!"
Now, Eudipides, fire!
The beam of white-hot fire obliterated the Thunderhawk's armored cockpit, ceramite peeling back like blackened paper. Driven forward by the momentum of its thrusters, it streaked across the dusty sky, disappearing into the haze of kicked-up sand and oily smoke of 100 cataclysmic explosions.
Good. But now it's my turn.
Eudipides felt himself sink into the depths of the machine.
What is that supposed to mean? What do you mean it's your turn? Turn to do what?
He stood in the Chamber of Echoes. The room was semicircular, guttering braziers cast strange shadows across the cold stone walls. Along the curved part of the wall, dark alcoves housed the throne's mechanicum. Foreboding, oversized chairs that seemed much too big to sit in. Half the alcoves were empty, the fallen knights remembered only by their stark absence. Eudipides stared at the 8-pointed star of chaos that hung above the alcoves. The great iron monstrosity was chained and bolted to the wall, as if it might slip its bonds at any moment. Beneath the star, Eudipides could see the ghost of an imperial Aquila, long removed, but leaving behind a template of brighter stone. 2 half-formed, dark, cowled things waited beside him. He tried not to pay attention to them. Those things that pretended to be sacristans. Those things that had no faces and shuffled awkward, disjointed steps that hinted at inhuman limbs. Maybe once they had been sacristans of House Munis, their bodies violated by demonic sorceries and cursed with eternal service. But who could tell? They certainly wouldn't. They were always silent. Silent and watching. "You approve of my becoming, then?" Eudipides said, failing to keep the question out of his voice. Grizzled mercenaries had led him here, but they had not dared enter the sanctuary of House Munis. With sideways glances to each other, they had declared it cursed, as if it was somehow different from the ruined cities with their screaming tentacled walls, or the cracked earth that bled pus and gore. When the sanctuary gates opened for Eudipides, the mercenaries had scattered in abject terror. One of the false sacristans gestured towards the throne mechanicum with the canid crest, the crest of Eudipides' family line. The crest that Eudipides only knew from the pattern imprinted on his ancestral sigil ring.
And this is all happening in Eudipides' mind while he's on the battlefield. And if I remember correctly, Vox in the Void was talking about time operating differently when you're in this machine. Okay. All right. Because it would be really a serious problem that the pilot of this machine is incapacitated at the moment because, you know, he's going through some sort of mental test or a breakdown, and the knight is just standing still, waiting to have commands from the pilot to move forward or to attack. So yeah, interesting.
Eudipides stepped towards his family's throne mechanicum. His footsteps were silent, swallowed up by the dark. He was tempted to glance back towards the door, just to make sure it was still there, but he focused his mind on rash courage.
I have come all this way. From present to past I have traveled, now my future awaits.
He sat. The false sacristans approached, half trotting, half dancing towards him. One cradled him with a warm skeletal hand, claws scratching at the mind impulse unit port surgically grafted into the back of his head. As it staggered back, the other helped Eudipides remove his shirt, exposing further impulse units that dotted his flesh in uneven patterns. Eudipides kept his eyes forward as they caressed the ports, gasping to the soft thrill of luminum that sent his muscles twitching and tensing. The false sacristans positioned him in the chair, gently guiding his head into place.
And this sounds like something that you would see in the Matrix, you know? Those who have escaped from the Matrix, the system, and, you know, they would have those ports behind their neck or on their shoulders or on their stomach. It's something similar to that. Okay.
They did not speak, but Eudipides knew that he was to stay still. For a moment, the creatures seemed to glance at each other, and then everything went black. The throne mechanicum activated, wires slotting into unit ports with sharp, juddering clicks.
I have returned.
No! Eudipides forced his eyes open and his mind back to the present.
What is Malventus talking about? First he said he was going to take control or something, or it's my turn, and now he says I have returned. What are you trying to say here, Malventus? Hey, you're confusing.
He saw through Cerberus's picked views, returning to the battlefield of burning shuttles and broken dead. He felt satisfaction as his Volkite combustor bored a hole in the Carcharodon's chest, the Astartes collapsing back to silent death. He walked with Cerberus's legs, but his hip was damaged, the left leg dragging along the floor and churning up red sand. It took Eudipides a few moments to realize that there was a lag between his commands and the knight's movements. His decisions were just an impotent overlay, parallel but separate from iron causation.
Eudipides!
No, Eudipides. Do not worry, it's all right. Rest. Let me handle things from here.
Eudipides' body convulsed as his mind was thrown back into the past. The throne mechanicum had begun integrating with his nervous system, his throat producing strange sounds between agony and laughter. The false sacristans were gone. He was in complete darkness, his mind flooding with data that made no sense and could not be comprehended. His brain rebelled at the information. Senses that were not human, visual input that did not correspond to the blackness he saw with his human eyes. He heard Malventus's voice for the first time.
I knew you would come, usurper.
Hallucinations ripped across Eudipides' perception. Memories of moments past. Memories that were not truly his. He stood on the field of battle, luminum pouring from his gut. Systems were failing. Cerberus was dying. As the Eldari Wraith Knight withdrew its psychoactive glaive from his stomach, he fell, slamming into the ground with a great shuddering impact.
So what he's experiencing right now are the memories of the past pilots, especially Malventus. Okay, wow. So not only do you have these people talk to you while you're fighting, but you can also experience their memories. Oh, wow.
He tried to bring up a weapon, but Cerberus's broken feedback loop sent jolts of mind-numbing pain through his head. His vision dimming, Eudipides stared at the sky. A deep, blossoming sunset of purple against the silver foliage of alien trees.
Hear me now, Knight. It is not too late. It is not too late. Malventus's time is past, and you hold the future.
The pain faded. Eudipides realized he was dying.
No, Eudipides! It is not your death, but his!
Be silent!
Does it begin again? How long has it been?
A clamor of indistinct voices crowded at the edge of Eudipides' mind. Hazy, unformed words whispering and peeling away at the soft flesh of his sanity.
Do not listen to them. They are nothing now.
How long has it been?
And soon he shall be nothing too.
No!
The nightmare shifted. Another mind asserted dominance. Eudipides gasped. In the delusion, robed figures disconnected him from Cerberus, his limbs feeling limp and paralyzed. He was so tired. When he looked up, he could see Miranda, the crow's feet around her eyes creasing as she smiled. Eudipides wished with his entire soul that he could reach up with a hand to touch her wrinkled cheek, but he was too tired. He was too tired.
You are a great-grandfather, Aegis. Zine has had a son.
Eudipides felt a smile spread across his lips. What have they named him? Miranda squeezed his hand.
Malventus, my love. Your great-grandson's name is Malventus.
Grateful tears leaked from Eudipides' eyes. I love you.
I love you too.
Enough.
So basically all of these people here are related. All the pilots of this night are related. And Eudipides is the latest in the line, or should I say the last of the line of this family. I don't know if Chaos worshippers focus on having families and children. I don't know, but I'm assuming that he is the last of the line in this family that's going to be controlling this Imperial Knight or this Chaos Knight. Yeah, okay.
Enough of that. This is my time.
It is over, Malventus. Cerberus will not answer to the commands of the dead.
I will not be limited by your own self-doubt, Varys. There is nothing I cannot do. I will cheat death itself.
As Varys and Malventus battled, the past clouded with another fragment of tattered history. In the memory that was not his, Eudipides grappled with his daughter, desperately trying to stop the descent of her hissing power blade. Medea's eyes flashed with hatred, a snarl splitting her mouth. She stood on the edge of the throne mechanicum. She had the advantage. Her entire weight was behind her weapon, while Eudipides could only flail weakly from where he sat. He, Eudipides, Varys, he could not tell, was weeping. Even now he could triumph. He could awaken Cerberus and throw Medea from her perch, but she was his daughter. His daughter!
Medea, please. There is no future in this.
No future? This is the only future we have left.
Eudipides gasped as the blade pierced his chest, all his strength suddenly giving out. Cerberus stirred, disquieted.
No, old friend. This is goodbye.
Medea staggered back, almost falling from the night. Her face was blurring, her words barely audible.
You forced me to this, father. They would have killed us all. I have saved our family. You would have destroyed it.
She steadied herself against Cerberus.
Damn you. Damn you for what you made me do.
A power grab, Varys. Such hypocrisy.
And was I wrong? See what it has wrought.
We chose life, and now I am eternally dead.
Eudipides shrieked as he accepted the Nameless One, feeling his will surge with terrible, overwhelming strength. His mind pierced through the deluding fog of time, shouldering aside the ghosts and their memories. The battlefield returned to him in blood and thunder and death and sand. Furious, he stomped his foot on a fallen Carcharodon's head, pulping the skull to a red mist. Burn! Burn! He let loose a continuous stream of Volkite fire, sweeping the incinerating beam across the battlefield. Dark grey Carcharodons petrified into blackened husks, a crashed Thunderhawk detonating and buffeting Cerberus's back. Eudipides howled, still firing his weapon, not stopping until the clip was empty and the auto-reloaders clicked into gear. He saw in black and white, black smoke and white fire, so intense that they sucked out all other color. Those reds and blues and greys that were swallowed by the feeding flames. Burned out wreckages and charred skeletons flittered about in the rippling air, as if each corpse was many interposed upon each other. Eudipides laughed, advancing through the fires, his adamantium blackening as the surface gathered soot and ash. He lashed out at the wounded Astartes, ending their life with a slam of his electro-scourge. Las cannon fire spat through the smoke, blossoming against the iron shields, some piercing Cerberus's hide and sending the dreadblade reeling. Eudipides felt needle pricks across his flesh, but it did not matter. It did not matter from where it flowed. Bleeding, liquid fire, luminum flame, promethium fuel, all of it. Fuel! Fuel! Fuel to the fire!
Burn!
Eudipides, wake up!
Eudipides!
Eudipides did not know how long he had been screaming. His throat was hoarse, his bare skin was pockmarked with deep purple bruises, his patchy hair standing on end as static luminum still fizzed. He could still hear his ancestors. They were quieter now, but they still whispered in his head, echoes of arrogance and power and purpose that infected his soul, warping his mind to a profound sense of destiny. In the chamber of echoes, the braziers flickered alight, revealing the two false sacristans prostrated on the ground before him. Their robes seemed to squirm and shift even as they pressed their bodies against the cold stone. "Where is my skin? Where is Cerberus?" His younger self spoke. "We died that day. We became just another ghost." "You died, Eudipides. I became... And now we have no name. My name is Cerberus."
Okay, so the past Eudipides was part of the Imperium of Man, and then as soon as he turned coat and became part of Chaos, that's when that Eudipides died, and now this is a new Eudipides, the Chaos Cerberus Eudipides. Okay, I think that's what's going on there.
The Volkite combustor hissed as another clip ran dry, the auto-reloader churning as it eased out the muscles in Cerberus's neck. He felt refreshed, invigorated. When the auto-reloader completed its task, Cerberus paused, taking the time to assess the battlefield. He frowned. Scores of loyalist Astartes lay dead, the tattered fins of Thunderhawk shattered across the cratered earth. They were surrounded by thousands of dead chattels, crumbling skeletons disappearing into the air. Backdropped across an ashen sky, another school of Thunderhawks swam closer. Cerberus was wounded. His left hip dragged badly, a score of luminum bleeds causing mayhem across his systems. Ammunition stores were all but depleted, and the Red Corsairs were disengaging.
It's time to retreat. You're out of ammo, you don't have any backup, it's time to retreat.
3 of their Rhino APCs emerged from over the crystallized dune, kicking up ash and sand.
We tried to warn you, Eudipides. They fell back when they saw that the sharks were committed to the ground war. The bikers are already gone. Huntmaster Galveron is probably leading the orbital boarding actions as we speak.
I do not want to die, Eudipides. I've died so many times, and each time it is worse. An aggregate of pain and endless bloody war.
This is not where Cerberus dies. Dragging his leg along the sand, Cerberus advanced on the traitor rhinos. He spent the last of his ammunition on a wide sweep across the position, enveloping one APC in molten fire and setting the other alight on burning flames. The red corsairs scattered. A string of insults ripped through the Vox channels, punctuated by the occasional boom of angry bolt fire. As the second rhino stalled, the remaining tank desperately reversed, abandoning the pirate Astartes as Cerberus's electro-scourge buried into the earth. Laughing, Cerberus expended his heavy stubber ammunition, peppering the APC's hull with useless bullets as it made a hasty retreat from the battlefield. He attacked the stalled rhino with his tusks, flipping it onto its back. A crack grenade exploded against his body. The ion shielding leaked in a dozen places, dangerously close to absolute collapse.
It's time to leave.
Dreadblade, what are you doing?
Cerberus allowed his voice to boom through the Vox casters beneath his tusks.
What you would have done to me!
He took off after the last rhino, his bad leg fizzing and malfunctioning. He knew he wouldn't catch it. The APC had already turned around, exhausts kicking up smoke as it sped away.
Damn you, Dreadblade. You think you can escape on that leg? Fool! You cannot outrun the sharks.
Cerberus smiled to himself.
I don't have to outrun the sharks, Corsair. I only have to outrun you.
Indeed, Euthypides, you only have to outrun them. Yeah. Yes, guys, that is it with Geist Ex Machina, a Chaos Knight story Warhammer 40K made on the A Vox in the Void YouTube channel, requested by AnthraxCrab3238. Yeah, this was nice, actually. This was very cool. Yeah, I don't want to be a pilot of a of an Imperial Knight. I don't want to be a pilot of a Chaos Knight. I just, I don't want to die and then my consciousness or a part of my consciousness still exists inside this machine. No, guys, let me just die on the battlefield and let me not linger on like that. That's not for me. Maybe you guys want to be pilots of these things, but I'm okay. I'm okay just being a regular PDF soldier or an Imperial Guard soldier. I'm fine with that. I'm fine. Really, I'm fine. I don't want to go through something like that. But yeah, it was interesting, Euthypides going through all of this, contending with Cerberus, contending with his ancestors, all of them clouding his mind, and he has to focus on the battlefield, but then he's contending with Cerberus, not really obeying his commands sometimes, and then he has his ancestors also butting in and saying whatever they want to say. It just makes everything confusing. And then there are times where the commanding officer is telling him to hold, don't attack the enemy just yet, but then Euthypides is a bit confused. He doesn't know who's actually talking to him. Is it his ancestors, or is it Cerberus, or is it his commanding officer? So yeah, it was a bit funny in the beginning of the video, yeah. And hey, it's weird. I don't know why did they create this type of technology during the dark age of technology. Why did they create a machine that would carry the consciousness of the past pilots like that? Why would they create something like that? For what purpose exactly? I'm just wondering, do Titans also have that same capability or technology where previous pilots of this specific Titan are still existing in the machine spirit, if I can say that, and they have to interact with the new pilot, just like with the Imperial Knights or the Chaos Knights. I'm just wondering about that. But really, I just don't know the function of something like that in a knight. You know, why are past pilots needed? Is it for the current pilot to have experience in using the knight, or what exactly? And I remember Warhammer versus Star Wars versus Warhammer 40K, made by A Fantasy Much Time. He also had a segment centered around a character named Nerva, who's also inside a Imperial Knight, and she also had to contend with the machine spirit inside the Knight, and you know, the past pilots of this machine. And it was quite interesting, and it's quite similar to this. It's just that with this one, they're focusing on the Chaos pilot. In Star Wars versus Warhammer 40K, they were focusing on a loyalist forces, you know, person, Nerva. Yeah. Same kind of situation, but different storylines. Yeah, let me say it like that. But yeah, this was really entertaining. This was good. Thank you again to A Vox in the Void for producing such entertaining content. Thank you also to AnthraxCrab3238 for requesting that I should react to this. It's been really good. And yeah, guys, that's it. If you want to check out the original video as well as A Vox in the Void's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye-bye.